Well, hey, howdy everyone, Losity here, back in action for more Testimony Attraction. That's right, we're playing more Great Ace Attorney 2. And we're on the final trial, the final segment, really, of this whole case, where Naruhodo Renosuke finally gets his resolve. That being said, everybody, so witness, please state your name and occupation for the court. Eugene Mikatoba, lecturer in forensic medicine at the Imperial Yume University at Tokyo, Japan. And Professor Mikatoba, the young lady beside you is... this is Dr. Maria Gori. Scotland Yard's practicing coroner. The daughter of Dr. Seath, I understand. Yes, Dr. Seath. Afraid I can't tell you why she's here. She just appeared. You summon the strange Japanese man as a witness to that autopsy. But you don't summon Mama. That makes no sense. She was there too. And that's about the size of it. I've had her eyes boring into my side of my cheek constantly. Plus, I was in the antechamber too. Poor man, the idea of it's making me shudder. The revelation about Dr. Seath that came to light some days ago defiled the reputation of the entire judiciary. She was therefore deemed unfit to appear as a witness in today's proceedings. The Ministry of Justice's decision on that is final. Well, we wouldn't want any more perjury to be committed, would we? The Ministry of Justice? Some questionable strings are being pulled, I think. I remember you, Dr. Mikatoba. I certainly never expected to be meeting you under these circumstances. Yes, it's been a long while, Lord Strongheart. The prosecution understands that you were a visiting student of forensic science in London until 10 years ago. That's right. I studied under Dr. Wilson at St. Sinners. So you were present at the autopsy of my brother, Lord Clint van Zeeks. I was, yes. I assisted Dr. Wilson for the entire procedure. Mama is far more skilled than any Japanese man. Well, Dr. Wilson asked me to be his primary assistant on that occasion. And this autopsy report was actually penned by you, I believe? Yes, I noted all the doctor's findings, and when we were done, he read through the document and signed it. Poor Mama. A secondary assistant, she wouldn't have had such a good view of all the innards. So, Professor, you remember Inspector Grayson? Yes, of course. If it wasn't for his assistance, Lord Van Zeek's autopsy would never have happened. And he was absolutely convinced that it would have revealed decisive evidence against Genshin, you see. So Lord Strongheart had to entreat the nobility to allow it to take place. Do correct me if I'm wrong, my lord. It was as a result of the autopsy that a mass murder was apprehended and justice was done. But Grayson admitted it before he was killed. He admitted that the results of the autopsy were fabricated. You were there at the time, so you must testify. You have an obligation to tell the truth about what really went on. Absolutely. And that's precisely why I'm here. And that's why I'm here too. Very well then. You'll give your formal testimony now, witness. Before you begin, a word of warning. Oh? You will state truthfully and accurately what you saw and what you heard at the time. I wouldn't dream of doing otherwise, my lord. The moment your testimony verges on suspicion, I will expel you from my courtroom. Remember that. The Autopsy of Clint Van Zieks. From my own observations, I couldn't say there was any indication of the autopsy results having been fabricated. Death results from a wound made by a Western-style sword transfixing the heart. That I found a little strange. There were no other signs of internal injury, nothing questionable at all. It was just that beautiful but dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. Presumed to have been swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying his assailant. No indication. Nothing to suggest fabrication? Professor Mikatoba, are you certain about that? Well, nothing I could positively identify as such, much less swear to in testimony. Ugh. Well, that clearly clears things up nicely. The only fabrication here, Asugi, has come from you. What? You claim the inspector confessed just before his death, but that is the fabrication. No, he freely acknowledged it. I swear he did. Really? The tip of a sword at his throat. The man was clearly at his wit's end. Colt will give no credence to this confession that was uttered in obvious desperation. Quite simply, there was nothing questionable about the investigation of Lord Clint Van Zieks' death. And with this testimony we have, without question, uncovered the whole truth of the matter. If I may, my lord. There was most certainly something questionable about it, but the whole truth does rather elude us, I feel. I beg your pardon. Well, you're obviously aware of the facts of the case. All four of the professor's previous victims died when an enormous beast was set upon them that ripped out their throats. Oh, such horrifying crimes. But curiously, the killer's last victim, Lord Clint Van Zieks, suffered of different fate. Yes, you're right. He was stabbed through the heart with a sword. That's enough. Huh? I believe I warned you about this, witness. I promised to kill your testimony as soon as it entered the realms of suspicion or speculation. Very well, my lord. In that case, the defense will pursue a conclusion to this during the cross-examination. What? I have the right to cross-examine every witness after testimony. And I fully intend to exercise that right. Renosuke? I'm afraid that even the preceding judge has no authority to contrive the letter of the law, as I'm sure every member of the judiciary present in the gallery would agree. Very well. You will begin counsel. However, the moment your argument strays from the established facts, I will not hesitate to bring the cross-examination to an end. Proceed with caution. Yes, my lord. Does that mean if we press anything wrong, we'll get hit? Okay. From his own observations, he can't say there is anything to indicate fabrication. That is a bit curious to say. Death resulted from a wound made by a Western-style sword. Let's press this. Why is he identified as Western? And all the previous 4 killings attributed to the professor. The victims were killed by an enormous dog, I believe. Their throats were, well, mauled. Correct. And yet Lord Van Zieks was stabbed. Do you mean to say? You think Lord Clint Van Zieks may not, in fact, have been one of the professor's victims? There's no basis on which to doubt the findings of the investigations carried out at the time. But Genshin Usagi confessed to his crimes upon his arrest. He admitted to having taken the lives of all 5 members of the aristocracy. That the beast that was used to carry out the killings was never identified. No evidence was found to suggest that Genshin had ever kept a dog. A true hound of hell. Oh? Nothing questionable at all. Okay. But, you weren't actually present at the autopsy yourself, were you, Gory? Does that matter? Well, I just wondered how useful your testimony could be in that case, really. I mean, it would be different if your mother, Dr. Seath, were at the stand, but... I've read all the paperwork about the case, and Mama's told me the story countless times. The statement I just made is exactly what's written in the autopsy report. I did confirm that myself at the time, it's true. Besides the stab wound, there were no other signs of internal trauma. I see. Mama told me all about it. Oh? She said there was nothing of note internally. But they did find an amazing piece of evidence. Something unbelievable. Unbelievable? What do you mean? Come on, Dr. Gory. What was it? A dangerous piece of evidence removed from the man's stomach. What? What do you mean by that? What exactly was it, though? What does beautiful but dangerous mean? Well, it was sparkling and round with a hole, as it might slip through a finger, perhaps. It was a ring, belonging to Genshin, Asogi. My father's ring? Was inside the victim's stomach? At the time, Genshin wore a large ring on the digitus cortex of his left hand, the 4th, or ring finger. I'd understood it was some sort of keepsake. My father left Japan for London 16 years ago. I was 8 years old. I remember that ring. You do? My father's possessions were sent to our family home in Japan after his death. But the ring wasn't among them. Obviously not. It was a key piece of evidence. Remains under lock and key in the stalls at Scotland Yard to this day. After the autopsy, Genshin was summoned by the police to check for the presence of his ring. It wasn't on his hand, of course. Moreover, there were deep apparitions on his finger, where it had been pulled off. They arrested the man there and then. right before my eyes. How could they? I brought the ring along with me today. What? Here it is, a bit dusty from years at the stores. Good gracious. Yes, that's it. I hadn't seen it in 10 long years. And that was found inside the victim's stomach? Yes, I'm afraid so. You hesitate there, Professor Mikitoba. Should we read something into that? Well, it's just that thinking back now, I didn't actually witness the moment it was extracted from the victim's body. Oh my, really? At the precise moment, Dr. Wilson had asked me to fetch him a new scalpel, you see. Dr. Gorey, removal of the historical evidence from the stores requires my consent. Does it not? However it came to be here, the court cannot deny that this is crucial evidence for today's proceedings. Very well. You may submit it. Okay. Not the sort of ring normally seen in Japan. They almost look like claws protecting that jewel. You must examine it very carefully, Mr. Naruto. Very carefully indeed. Okay. So, I guess we just do it from here. These fat claws are doing a good job of protecting the equally fat gemstone on the middle of the ring. Yes, if you are clumsy, you could give yourself a rather nasty cut on them, I should think. Oh, now my finger's bleeding. The claws are really sharp. Oh my. That was very quick, clumsiness, Mr. Naruto, even for you. Oh, who would make such a dangerous ring? Could have swallowed it without doing yourself some very serious damage, surely. A sticky mochi bun of about that size would go down much better, with some red bean paste in the middle. Someone as clumsy as me would probably manage to choke on it somehow. Oh, a little too jaggedy. And the inside of the ring looks like whatever. There doesn't seem to be anything else with the ring. It is just that. I don't think there's a way to take it out. The gem, I mean. So it's just jaggedy. Looks sharp enough to cause a very nasty scratch. He's swallowed by the victim as a way of posthumously identifying is the same. Hold it! It's a little bit weird, isn't it? And that was the decisive piece of evidence that led to Genshin Osagi's arrest? Correct. After further investigating by Scotland Yard, the man admitted to his crimes. That's a lie! My father was no killer! Rock Von Zeeks, it was you. You twisted the truth to suit your purposes. Your hatred of me doesn't change the fact that was established 10 years ago. My brother, Clint, had closed in on the professor. In the end, he exposed the man and put a stop to his lethal rampage. In the way only a man of my brother's caliber could. That's everything, is it? Poor father. He looks so troubled. That's because 10 years ago, something happened that's been weighing on his mind. Oh? I couldn't say, were his words. That phrasing was very deliberate, I'm sure. I wonder if he's had his suspicions all these years. If that's the case, we need to use this cross-examination to prove what really happened. Remove any trace of doubt. We could establish that Kazuma-sama's claim of fabricated evidence was true. Can't shy away from this now. Even if we might uncover could lead to total calamity. Don't worry, Miss Leonardo. I'll be right beside you. Whatever may happen. Okay, so I don't think it's that. There were no sign of internal injuries, but there was this. A ring belonging to Genshin Osagi found in Lord Clemens's stomach. Claws clasping, the gem looks sharp enough it could cause a very nasty scratch. So it's just like, how are there no internal injuries? How is there no sign of it? It was just that beautiful but dangerous. Dangerous. She's prodigally yelling at us about it. Oh, I forgot. So we are going to pursue this line because honestly, yeah.
Objection.
The court has heard the ring was extracted from the victim's stomach. But you didn't actually see it being removed, did you, Professor Mikatoba? That's right. As I said in my testimony before, at the moment, I was fetching a replacement scalpel that Dr. Wilson had requested. In other words, I can neither confirm nor deny whether this ring, in fact, really came from the victim's stomach or not. What are you suggesting, counsel? That the ring was never in the victim's stomach to begin with. It's entirely feasible that Dr. Wilson fabricated that detail about the autopsy. What are you saying? That Dr. Wilson was in possession of the ring in advance, after it was somehow stolen from Mr. Usagi. And he produced it during the procedure, pretending to have found it there and then, in the victim's stomach.
Objection!
Suspicion at best. What possible evidence do you have to support such a rash claim? This evidence. Right here. That's the autopsy report? It's explicit in the report, counsel. Other than the ring, nothing unusual was noted internally. I'm not sure how you intend to prove your point. You've already done it for me, my lord. The lack of internal injury says it all. What? To swallow a ring of this size would require considerable effort and determination. In addition to its size, there are sharp claws around the gemstone to contend with. My brother was a determined man, on the brink of death, even more so, I'm sure. He would have stopped at nothing to ensure that evil killer was brought to justice. But if he really had swallowed that enormous ring, it's inconceivable that no traces of this passage down his throat would have remained as internal trauma. No. And there you were right at the sticking point. That's precisely why I had my doubts about the findings myself 10 years ago. Then why didn't you say something at the time? I did. I still remember the conversation I had with Dr. Wilson at the laboratory that day. Look at this! Now this is a very curious thing to find in a man's stomach, wouldn't you say? But isn't that rather peculiar, Dr. Wilson? What's that now, Mikatoba? Well, if he swallowed a ring of that size, those sharp metal claws that it has, surely you expect to see damage to the throat and esophagus, toward mucous membranes, at the very least. Dr. Mikatopa, may I remind you that I have vastly more experience than you. I'm terribly sorry. I think of plenty of ways to explain why no injuries would be seen. No, let's say this. The victim would appear to have ingested the item as evidence to identify his assailant. Go ahead, write it down. So I was right. Dr. Wilson deliberately fabricated the results of the autopsy to implicate my father. I'm disappointed, Counsel. That argument's nothing more than speculation. What? Dr. Wilson was Britain's leading authority on forensic science and autopsy report. There's no scientific base on which to doubt the man's expert opinion. Pardon the interruption, my lord, but damage to the mucous membrane of the throat is easily identified, even in living subjects. Using a device called an endoscope, recently demonstrated in practical use in France. I want one. The government can pay. I don't think so. And Dr. Goring, rest assured that your removal of the evidence from the stalls without permission will not go unpunished. We open up the dead to find the truth. I beg your pardon. But Mama, she chose to stitch her corpses up with all her secrets inside. That's wrong. Dr. Gory, it's looking as though she's chosen to walk a different path to her mama. Yes, the ring. What about the ring? I just remembered something. An earlier incident. What incident? The one I recounted to you before. About a memory I have. Of Genshin Osugi saving my life. What? My father saved your life. It was 10 years ago, on a foggy night. Genshin and I were walking down some back streets. A late hour. All of a sudden... Don't make a peep! You're coming with us! All of our assailants were armed with pistols. Their faces were obscured by scarves. The next thing I knew, there was silence all around. Genshin lay on the cobbled street. Blood was seeping from his left hand. He shielded me. It was on the ring finger of his left hand that he used to wear that ring. Are you saying? I always believed those thugs were after me. Now I'm starting to question if perhaps I wasn't the intended target after all. Wait, but... Genshin was arrested 2 days after that attack. And in that short interval, besides the evidence needed to indicate him was miraculously found. You mean the ring was stolen from him? I think that's what those mugs were after that night?
Objection!
You pathetic coward! You expect me to believe that you weren't involved? What do you mean by that? It was you, wasn't it? You're the one who took it. You stole my father's ring. You set the whole thing up so you could paint him as a mass murderer. Kazuma! Open your eyes. Renosuke? You must know deep down. The truth can be completely obscured, even when your judgment is only slightly clouded. At the moment, you seem to be floundering through a dense fog. Is that why you were so insistent I should be present in this trial? To see you like this? Well, that is an amusing spectacle. What a grandiose expression on your face. As if you were Lady Justice herself. Seems you have thoroughly convinced yourself of this alleged fabrication of the autopsy results. So much so that you're apparently blind to the blatant contradiction that would be born out of it. What? That was extremely hard to believe. Just imagine that there was some misconduct during the autopsy. If that were the case, why would Osugi not have disputed the findings in his trial? Oh. Huh? In that closed court hearing 10 years ago, the defendant never once denied the claims against him. Isn't that right, Lord Van Zeeks? Yes, that is indeed correct. On hearing the a verdict of guilty, May closed his eyes, finally accepting the judgment. The actions of a man who has accepted responsibility for his deeds and has resigned to his fate. But then... My... It is very strange. If Mr. Osugi did nothing to oppose the charges against him, then... That would surely mean there was no fabricated evidence. An obvious conclusion in which you should have arrived many minutes ago, Prosecutor Osugi. Your twisted loyalty and clouded judgment are hampering your ability for logical thought. Gichin Osagi's silence at his hearing can mean only one thing. There was no fabrication of evidence during the autopsy of his final victim 10 years ago. Ugh! But if that autopsy was all above board, there'd be nothing to stop Lord Strongheart bringing this trial to an immediate conclusion.
Objection!
Thank you, Renosuke. If it wasn't for your frank words just now, this trial may very well have ended prematurely. Kazuma? What's this latest absurdity, Council? My lord, your reasoning is perfectly sound. But for one giant hole, I beg your pardon. You claim my father's silence was due to the fact that there was no fabricated evidence. But there's another possible explanation. You're overlooking the possibility that he had a reason for maintaining that silence.
Objection!
Silence that would lead to him being convicted and sentenced to his death. The autopsy reports were an invention. There's no conceivable reason why the man would have protested.
Objection!
Oh, those results were an invention, all right. There's no question of that. Or are you forgetting that 2 people with a connection to that autopsy have been assassinated? I force the grievance I feel from my mind. I start to see you in a very different light. I think perhaps it's you who's been living in delusions these 10 years. Me. Kazuma-sama has created one last chance for us here in this scenario. We can only show there was a reason for his father's silence at his trial. A reason why the man would have said nothing, even though he was innocent. It had been part of some negotiation, perhaps? Enough rhetoric. The cult must be shown evidence. What proof do you have that could possibly explain Osagi's silence in cult? Well, obviously. The drill. No, not the drill. It's his will. Presento.
Take that!
This is the defense's answer to the question. As I indicated before, my patience for rhetoric is growing thin. Could have at least accompanied that penalty with an explanation of why the answer was wrong. Kazuma-sama's father knew the evidence being used to convict him was fabricated. Why would he have said nothing in his trial? For me, I had protested my innocence until I was blue in the face. So if we're right about the autopsy results, there must have been a strong reason for his silence. Well then, perhaps he was saying nothing in exchange for some sort of clemence? Ah, that could be it. My lord, the defense would like to... Enough rhetoric, the court must be shown evidence. Okay, so this is gonna go back to this. I thought for sure it'd be that, but I guess not. The only thing I can think of is this. It was past it. Yeah, it has to be this.
Take that!
This is the defense's answer to the question. As I indicated before. Oh no! Again? But he would give it back to his next of kin. That makes sense. It makes sense why he would not say anything. What proof do I have that could possibly explain his silence? So I'm guessing that's the reason why? And this post claim is the code for vote, aiding and abetting the escape from this prisoner convicted. So that he was going to be freed. Oh, that would make a lot of sense, wouldn't it?
Take that!
It's true that Genshin Osagi's silence during this trial resulted in his conviction. But that didn't actually lead to his execution. On the contrary, it led to his escape. Escape that was only possible because he had been sentenced to death. Though I find it hard to believe my father would have negotiated in that way. The defense is correct. A fake execution, falsification of a death certificate, and a jailbreak inside a coffin. Only such a elaborate plan could have been carried out by my father alone. He must have had the help of a collaborator on the judiciary. I have here the dismissal notice of the chief warder who was working in the prison at the time. The notes read, there are indications that the jailbreak was in planning prior to the inmate's incarceration. In other words, there were suggestions of some sort of negotiation between Mr. Osagi and the British government. In exchange for his silence in court, he was given an assurance that he would be broken out of prison. Yes, that sort of clandestine agreement in place. Imagine he would have kept very quiet. I'd go further than that, in fact. I would say that the elaborate jailbreak of Mr. Osagi can be explained in no other way. Ooh. Oh, he's getting mad. Order! Order! First fabricated evidence and now a jailbreak conspiracy? Of course. Because it's all imminently linked. Prosecution wishes to summon new witnesses to the stand. Witnesses? People who can testify about the jailbreak that took place 10 years ago. Governor, Caden? And the poor chief warner of the prison? I won't allow this trial to turn into a farce, to summon the governor of the prison after all these years. Oh, it wouldn't be any trouble, my lord. What? Father? My dear friend may appear a little rattle-pated at times, but I can assure you he is extremely thorough. He wired both Barclay and the local prison earlier, asking Governor Cadence and Mr. Vigil to attend the Old Bailey as a matter of extreme urgency. Mr. Shlomes did that? Are you telling me that? Both men are, unless I'm much mistaken, waiting just outside the courtroom at this very moment. Damn, his ass is getting cornered. My lord, you must permit this trial to proceed as you declare it at its outset. You promised that we would stop at nothing to uncover the whole truth behind this disturbing findings. Very well. Bring in the witnesses. And we'll see the witnesses next time, everybody, as we continue on with more Ace Attorney 2. Until then, thank y'all for watching. Sayonara. Bye-bye.